Please turn your mic and your webcam off. Please. Thank you, Christian. Okay. Listen, I made a mistake the other day. Example number one, I show you what is going to be example number two. So I send you this page. You have to have this page for today. But also, um, I had added another file. There's a new file that you should have in Blackboard. And I'm going to start by using the information that I added to Blackboard. So go to Blackboard and open, I think that the file has today's date. First, I want to clarify case 5, because during the lectures, somebody yesterday said that this formula didn't work. And I don't remember who did mention that this formula didn't work for the centroid. So I have sent you again the same problem. This is the same problem that I worked yesterday. And by hand, I did this computation 1.67. This is the formula, case 5. And case 5 gave me exactly the same value. So, okay, so, oh, it was, look, oh, I should have known. Okay. But this is the new information, right? And the reason why what I'm doing this is because after a while we become formula engineers. We just use the formula, and also table engineer, especially table. We use table and we forget where the table came from. So I want you to go to chapter E in your code to page 16.135. So I want you to go to chapter E. Chapter E is the one that deals with column. The next chapter, chapter F, will deal with beam. But I want you to go to the page. Page 16.135 in the code. And in section 3, this is the formula that I showed you yesterday. These are the two formulas that we use for computation of the critical stress for columns. And like I mentioned to you, this value here is the KL over R. So whenever KL over R is smaller than this value, this inelastic behavior. Whenever KL over R is larger than this value, we had elastic behavior, and this is the formula that we use. And this here is the Euler formula, that is the critical load for Euler, that is in the next page. This is the critical stress, the Euler critical stress, and this is K. What I want you to do is, look, the title of A3, buckling, is introduce a flexural buckling on members without a slender element. So this is the buckling we were talking about yesterday, that we put a load, it's gonna try to bend about the weak axis. That's why they call it flexural buckling. Normally we call it buckling. The code had add the word flexure. It's bending. A member without a slender element. That means that these members in here, they do not have local buckling. They do not have local buckling. If the member were to have local buckling, and later I'm going to do an example problem next week with local buckling, but if the member had local buckling, we have to go to E7. And E7 is given on page 16.142. So whenever we have local buckling, we go to 16.142. And E7, those are the members that they had local buckling. They call it a slender element. These are the web It could be the web or it could be the flanges. We're going to talk about that later. So what I want to do today is show you how the values in table 414, how the table was built. At the end of chapter 4, you go to the end of chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the chapter for column. You go to the end of chapter 4, you're going to find table 414. Right now, I'm on page 4-30. Hey, I just want to check, can you hear me? Anybody say yes or no? Yeah, okay, good. Look, this table, this is the table that we're gonna use all the time for column. And this table is based here on the left-hand side. This table is based on the KL over R. This L to C, the effective length is KL and KL over R. So this is going to be the largest for any column, the largest value KL over R. If there are no bracing and it's a Y flange, you're going to be KL over RY. So this in here is only based on the geometry. I want you to remember that the radius of gyration had nothing to do with the type of steel. So this is just a number, KL over R. And here we had the different type of steel. So the example that I want to work today is on page 4-30. I want you to go to page 230, the same page that we had before. And for Fy to 50 and KL over R equal to 69. So I want you to go to the table 414 on page 4-230, the same page that we had before. And for Fy equal to 50 with 69. So the way we do this, we go to 69. And for 50, so we go to 69. And for Fy 50, we read the value. And what value are you reading in there? For 69, Fy 50, 31.8. Correct, right? So I want you to know where 31.8 comes from. That's what we call the critical stress for the column, for an axial load. So I want you to go back to chapter E. And chapter E, the chapter that we were before, the same page that we had before. In chapter E, I want you to go to page 16.135. So I want you to go to the same page that we were before. If you are, or you were late, we were on this page before, 16.135. In E3, we had the equation. So what we need to do in here is we need to know with the KL over R equal to 69. With this value equal to 69, we need to find out if it's smaller than 4.71, 29,000 over 50. This is the equation that controls our design. If it's larger, this is the equation that controls our design. So I had done the computation in here below, and you should have this. Our value of KL over R. And remember, I'm not saying KL over R X, KL over R Y, the largest value. This value has to be smaller or equal to 4.71 square root of 29,000 over 50 equal to 113.43. Our value is 69. So 69 is smaller than this value. Therefore, equation E3-2 control inelastic backlink. This is the very first equation. Since we had a low value, we had a 69 that is smaller than 113.43. This is going to be inelastic backlink. So the formula that is controlling our design is this formula. This is the formula that came from the code. And the formula from the code, it tells you that the critical stress, 0.658 Fy over Fe. This is the Euler critical stress that I showed to you before times Fy. And this Euler formula, pi squared E over KL over R squared. This formula, anybody tell me which page in the code we find this formula? Just write it. Which page in the code we had that formula? Perfect. That is the page. But you can see this value in the formula is the KL over R, the 69 value that we had before. So this gave me a value that's equal to 60.118 KSI. I replaced in the formula, I had replaced this value. We had the FY50, FE is 60.18 times 50 because we're using FY50. And this gave me a critical nominal critical stress of 35.30. This value is good for both LRFD and ASD. Since we are using LRFD, I had to multiply this times 0.9, give me 31.77. This is exactly the same value. I want you to go to the table at the end of chapter 4 for 69. Go to the table at the end of chapter 4 for K over R 69 and tell me what is the value for FY50, what is the value given in the table? Okay, 31.8. 31. So in the code, they cannot write 31.77, so put 31.8. But this is the way they have built the table. This is the way how that table was built. For every single value in that table, either they use the equation E2 or the other one. Either is inelastic or elastic behavior. Any question before I continue? So this is the way that table was built. The next page, today, to do our design, we're gonna use what we call the column tables. And the column tables, they're also in chapter 4. So in chapter 4, you find the column table. And we discussed that yesterday. Those tables are for the most common depth, W8, W10, W12, and W14. And if we find W16, that we also can do it, but those are the most common, so the code has done it for you. So I want you to go to the table. I'm gonna give you the page in chapter 4. Go to page 4-22. In this table on 4-22, this table on page 4-22 for the W10 by 77, don't forget that you have to check that is 50 KSI. So that's very easy to get confused. The tables look the same, but they are for different type of steel. This is for 50. And the way we use this table for the example that I have in here is KLY. KLY had to be in feet. And so KLY and W10 by 77 and Y50. Do you see what is the value for W10 by 77? This is the LRFD. What's the value that you're reading there? Right, somebody write a number? 900. Perfect. Okay. So below the page, below the section W10 by 77, they give you the information that we need. And so all of this information, you can see that they give you for a W10 by 77, they give you those values we're going to use later for beam, but they give you the gross area. We need the gross area. They give you, we're going to use later the moment inertia, but they give you right now Ry and Rx times Ry. So that information I had written here. So the W10 by 77, W10 by 77 for KLY has to be in feet and it has to be KLY. The design strength, 900 kips come from the table. The value of Ry also came from the table. And this is the gross area. The tables, those tables are built for weak axis control. So everything in that table is K over Ry. Later, I'm going to show you how to use it in KL over Rx control. We call that strong axis control. This is weak axis control. So I have computed in here, look, I have computed the KL over Ry. Most of the mistakes that I found in the past, I know that you're better than the people that came before you, that people forget to multiply this times 12. If you forget to multiply this times 12, it's going to tell you that your column is stronger. I'm going to show you later in the graph. So don't forget that because this is inches, that has to be inches. You need to multiply that. So 41.54 is our KL over R. So I want you to go to the table at the end of chapter 4, the table that we just used at the end of chapter 4. And between 41 and 42, we're going to interpolate. And the value is going to be almost in the middle because it's 0.54. But go to the tables at the end of chapter 4, and for K over Ry, for K over R, I want you to find these values. For FY50, go to the end of chapter 4. Go to the end of chapter 4. And for K over R that we did before we did 69. Now it's 41 and 42. We need to interpolate. So 41, look at the value 30, look in the table. You should have 39.8. And if you look at the value of 42, you have 39.5. Check those values. And that's, Christian, that's the correct page. At the end of chapter 4, we had those tables. Most of the time, I'm going to tell you, go to the end of chapter 4. You know that I'm making reference to this table. So this 4154, I had done the interpolation in here. I had interpolation, and it gave me 3963. And so if I multiply 39.63 times the area that is given for that section, it gave me 899.60. They wrote it as 900. So this is the way the table were built. Any question before I go to the first design? Any question about this table? No. So I'm going to go to the first design. This is what we're going to do today. And I already gave you the solution, but we're going to work it together so you can see how it is. Typical problem. A992 steel, SY50. Dead low 140, live low 420. When I factor this low, 1.2 and 1.3, give me 840. The strong axis is brace, but the weak axis, look, the height of the column is 20 feet. We had a brace. We bracing the weak axis. The weak axis is the wall. So the first brace is at 6 feet. Between the first and the second brace, 8 feet. And from the second brace and the bottom of the column, 6 feet. So you can see that by, if I don't brace this column, it's gonna buckle about the weak axis. I have braced it. So now the weak axis broken into 6, 8, and 6. And the strong axis is still 20. So whenever we do our design, I want you to pay attention to this very carefully. This is KLY6. This is KLY8. This is KLY6. The critical for this column is the largest one. So KLY for this column is 8. KLX is 20. The value of K, whenever we had a pin is 1. Pin and also behave like a pin, 1. Pin and pin, 1. Pin and pin, 1. So at the bottom of the page, I have put this. KX20, KY8. So we're going to go to our table. We're going to do our first design. And we need to look at a W8, a W10, W12, W14. So we're going to go to the table with PU equal to 840 and KLY equal to 850. So we're going to go to the tables, and the table are the column table that I mentioned before. So we're going to go to the column table. And in the column table, we're going to look with 840, anything larger than 840. Nothing is smaller, so nothing can be smaller than this. So we're going to go to the W8. We're going to go to the W8, and we're going to look for a section. In this table, I do not have the load. I do not have the gross area. I don't have Rx or RY. So I want to go to first the table for W8. I'm going to tell you what the page is for a W8. We start on page 404-24. So go to this page, 4-24. And this table uses KL about the y-axis. You have to go with the y-axis. So these are on the original. These are on the original notes. And now we are on the original class notes, the one that I stopped yesterday. So we are in the original. So this, look for these notes in what I mailed you before. This is where I stopped yesterday. The only thing that I had changed, I had sent you the wrong, I put the wrong drawing, but everything else is the same. We're back where we stopped yesterday. So what we do, we looking with KLY8 and with a PU of 840. So we go with 8 and look, 763. This is smaller. So there's nothing. If you look at KLY, there's nothing in here. So I had to go to the next page, the previous page. Go to the previous page, and with 8, with KL8, and you go and, sorry. Yeah. Look, do we have a W8? Do we have a W8? In this page, the heavy WA is 67, and it gave me a value of 763, and I need 840. So I go to the next page. Do we have any WAs left? Do we have any WAs left in there? No. So I'm gonna come to my table like we did when we were designing the angle. I'm gonna come to my table. I'm gonna put NA. Means that is not available. So I'm gonna go to W10, and W10, I start on page 423. And the heaviest one for KLY8, the heaviest one with KLY8 gave me 642. Still smaller. So I'm gonna go to the previous page. I'm looking KLY8, and look, will this section work? W10 by 68? No. The first one that works is the W10 by 77. And the value of phi p sub n is given in here. So I'm gonna fill this. W10 by 77. The phi p sub n is 925. The gross area is 22.7. Rx over Ry is 1.73, and Ry is 2.6. These values I'm getting from at the bottom of the same page. So go to the bottom of the same page and see the gross area, Rx, Ry, and Ry. Please go to the bottom of the same page when I obtain W10 by 77, and look, gross area, Rx, Ry, and Ry. Anybody, do you find it? Okay, anybody that cannot find it? So we have selected our first section. Now go to the W12, and with the W12, find at least a section that give you with KLY8 and PU840. Find me the section that give you 840 or more. So go to the W12, previous page, W12 by 72. And that's correct. W12 by 72, and I do the same. This is 883, gross area 21.1, Rx or Ry 1.75, and it's 3.04. Anybody have problem? And be honest, you cannot find it. We went to the W12. We went with KLY8 and a PU 840. We have to give more conservative, more weight, because we're using factor load. Adrian, we're using the factor load, and we are not using the service load. That's why the numbers are different. But you cannot compare, and this is a good question. We cannot compare LRF deal directly with ASD because one uses factor load, the other one uses the service load or unfactor load. But whenever you find the section, you compare the section. The W12 by 72 should be the same. Any other question? And I want to emphasize that LRFD is one philosophy of design. ASD is a different philosophy of design. One uses factor load. It factors the service load, 1.2, 1.6. The other one uses the service load. One uses the fit factor. The other one uses safety or factor safety. Okay. So let's go to W14. Again, W14 with KLY8 and PU 840. W14 by 74. That is correct. This is 879. 21.8, 2.44, and 2.48. This comes from the bottom of the page, the information on the gross area, the information or Rx over Ry, axis with axis, and Ry comes from the bottom of the same page. But we are out of sections. And if you look at this section, so far, the lightest one, the best one is the W12 by 72, because W12 by 72 is the lightest one, 72 pounds per foot, 74 pounds per foot, 77. But I want you to go to the code, the front of the code. And if I want you to include in the exam a W16 and a W18, it has to be lighter. It has to be lighter than the 72. So go to chapter 1 and find me a W16 that is lighter than 72, smaller than 72 pounds. Go to the code and find me one. Chapter 1 with all the W shapes are. I want you to find me a W16 that is lighter than W12 by 72. W14, W16 by 67. 16 by 67, and does it have a letter C in there? Yes, we need to put it. Go to a W18. 18 by lighter than 72. 18 by 71. So look, I just want to point something out that is important. W8, W10, W12, W14, they are in the column table because they're the most common. But if I give you in the exam a W10 by 67, all that you have to do is find the gross area is given in chapter 1. Rx is given, no Rx over Ry. Rx is given and Ry is given. The same for this one. All that we need to do is to get a KL over R to go to the end of chapter 4 and find the critical stress. So now we're going to check. We're going to check the lightest one. So I'm going to say, try a W12 by 72. And this is what I had done in here. I'm trying a W12 by 72. I had to check, we don't know if the weak or the strong axis control 14 by 72. Why? Why are you looking at 14 by 72? We're trying to W 12 by 72. Okay. You got good. Okay, look, we're gonna try, and we said try because we don't know if this is going to work. And remember, if you were late, the reason why we had to check the strong and the weak axis is because the strong axis, we don't brace it. We don't need to brace it at 20 feet. The weak axis is braced. So I'm checking a value 12 by 72. It has to be in inches. I repeat, it has to be in inches. Otherwise, it's going to give you, it's going to tell you it's stronger than it is. K over X, 1 times 20 feet times 12. This is the value given here on the top, Rx over Ry times Ry. It gave me 45.11. But the KL over Ry, look, 1 times 8 times 12 over Ry, 31.58. This is larger than this. That's why we say a strong axis control. So that means that the value that we have found from the table is wrong. And at this time, because we assume always the weak axis control to go to the table, but the strong axis is controlling 45.11. The only thing that we had to do is we go to the end of chapter 4. Go to the end of chapter 4. And for FY50, end of chapter 4, the table that we have been using. With 45, gave me a critical, for FY50, gave me a critical stress of 38.8. With 46, gave me 38.5. And 45 less, what I had, give me 38.77. 38.77 times the area, 818, is smaller than 840, no good. So I'm gonna repeat this again. We have to do both because we don't know, because of the bracing, it's not obvious if the strong or the weak axis control. We have to do KL over Rx and KL over Ry. 28, and this tell me that strong axis control. So I have to find what is the VP swing, what is the design strength. We go to the end of chapter 4 for K over R. And the end of chapter 4 doesn't ask you for K over Rx or K over Y. It's just the largest value of KL over R. That table is for KL over R. So for 45, FY50, 38.8. For 46, AY50, 38.5. Interpolation for 4511, 3877. Stress times the area, 818. No good. So in the code, so this is the easiest way to find if your section is good or not good. But in the code, in the front of chapter 4, I'm going to go to 4-5. Chapter 4, page 5. There is another way of finding if the section works or doesn't work. You have to find the equivalent and brace length Y. It uses the X effective length divided by R to X over R to Y. This is made the X equivalent to a Y and brace length. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, but this is what I had done in here. Finding the equivalent Y for the X side, the 20 divided This in here is Rx or Ry. You can see it in here, Rx over Ry. And so it gave me 1142. A quick check. You go to the same table when you found the W12 by 72. To find the W12 by 72, what do you use? You use how many feet to embrace length. When you find the W12 by 72, what do you use? How many feet to embrace length? To build 8. Now, instead of going with 8, go to with 1142. 1142 and tell me what is the, for the same section, W12 by 72, go with 1142, almost 11.5, and tell me what do you find at feet piece win in the same table. Just eyeball it. W12 by 72, instead of going with 8, you go with 1142. What do you find approximate? Eyeball the feet piece win. Anybody? Just eyeball it. Put it in the middle. El W12 by 72. No, go to the table where we found this. Go to the column table. 850. Right? So it doesn't work. 810. Eyeballing. Eyeballing it sometimes get confusion. So most of the time, I prefer to go to the end of chapter 4 and go and try to find the value for KL over R 4511. And this is what we did. So since this section doesn't work, and this section is W12 by 72, go to the column table when we had a W12 by 72 and tell me what is the next heavier one, the next heavier in the W12 group. Since this one doesn't work, I need to go to the next heavier one. The W12 by 79 or 74? 79. So the 79 is heavier. Look, it's heavier than the 74 in here. So I have to go to my table. I need to try now the W14 by 74. Since in the W12 group, this is not good, I have to go to the next one. It's heavier than this one. And this is the lighter one that remains. So I'm gonna go to the W14 by 74. And this is what I've done in the next page. This is page 18. This is page 18 of the original notes. Now I'm trying the W14 by 74. I have put a note in here that in the W12 group, this is heavier than this. So I had to check the 74 that was pre-selected. I do the same because we know the gross area, we know Rx or Ry, we know Ry. So we look at K over Rx, give me 39.66. KL over Ry, give me 38.70. Strong axis is still control because this is a little bit larger than this one. Strong axis is still control. So I went to the end of chapter 4. And if you look at, we had 39. I don't know what for 39. For 39, the critical stress is 40.3. It's 40.3. And for 40 is 40. I had 3966. I did interpolation the same that I did before. 3966. It gave me 4010. So I found it here. 4010 times this is the gross area. Section give me 874.2. 874.2 is larger than 840. 874 is larger than 840 I'm designing for. So this in here tell me that the section is good. I need 840, 874. And we try to get as close as we can to the number. I'm going to check the what we call local backlink. To check the local backlink, I went to chapter B. And in chapter B, yesterday, I did show you this table. Go to page 16.117. Go to table B4.1a. And this is 16.117. And yesterday, we discussed, and somebody asked me, that we had an Stephen flanges, Stephen webs. So an Stephen flanges, Stephen web. And the first case for the flanges, and in here it says that for hat row, B over T has to be smaller. And this ratio in here, we call it lambda. So this ratio in here is lambda. And this ratio in here, you can read as lambda sub R. So later we're gonna be talking about lambda sub R, but lambda sub R. B over T has to be smaller than 0.56 or root of E or Y. But for a hat row, is the flange divided by 2. That's why for this case, it's gonna be over 2 times the thickness of the flange. So for a Y flange, this B is shown in here, that's B over 2. B over 2 times the thickness of the flange is more than this number. And for the web, and this is the line that divided the web. And it says in here the case, W symmetry, roll and build up. So this works for both, for hat roll and build up. H over TW, that's the lambda, is more than 1.49 E over Y. And this is shown in here. So what I'm doing, I'm checking for local backlink. This value I mentioned to you yesterday, and this value they're given in the front of the code. Go to chapter 1 and the W14 by 74. Go to chapter 1 and the W14 by 74. Go across the page. On the second page, you're gonna find the first column, B over 2 times the thickness of the flange. This value is given. On the second column, H of TW 25.4. Anybody that has already found it, let me know, or I will show it to you. Anybody? Chapter 1, go to the W14 by 74. W14 by 74. Nobody can find it. Okay. Just in case, W14 by 74 is on page, chapter 1, page 24. And on the second page, you can see that is given b over 2 times the thickness of the flange as h over t dot. So that's where I found those numbers. So once you find the number, you say, look, use W14 by 74, Fy equal to 50. This is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to stop here, and on Monday, we're going to continue solving more problems. But any clarification, theoretically, okay. Francisco, yeah, somebody, yeah. Yesterday I mentioned that we're gonna use the recommended because that what is the ISC is recommended. And just in case, you go to page 16.1570, and we always gonna use the very good Christian. You're a genius. Thank you for helping me. So look, always gonna use this value. Any other question? And please feel free to ask the question. Yeah, always the KL over R value. That's the critical one. And with the KL over R value, with the largest one, we find the critical stress. Any other question? And remember, in the column tables in chapter 4, W4, WA, sorry, W10, 12, and 14, always they give you the information that you need to compute the K over R. The formula where you find K over X and K over Rx and K over Y. Okay. Chapter E. In chapter E, I mentioned to you before that the code is called now effective length. The effective length is the KL. So here when we had a KL over R, and this is called the slenderness ratio. How slender the column is. And also, I want you to remember always from yesterday, I want you to remember this. This is what we had for column. And this was not invented by the American Institute of Steel Construction. This is the Euler formula to find the critical load. Adrian, I'll come back to you to show you where that is. Look, this is what to find the critical load, the Euler load that we use in mechanical solid. Always the critical load go with the slender KL over R. And like I said, if you forget to multiply by 12, when you do the K over R, it's gonna tell you that you're in here. But in reality, you're gonna have it in here. So obviously, this thing is gonna fail because you believe that you are here, when in reality you are here. Christian, thank you. Any other question? Any clarification? It is for the last minute. Yes. The first equation gets to this point, and the second, and the reason is that, like I mentioned yesterday, look, Euler was elastic, but Euler predicted for large values the K over R. Euler predicted this, very beautiful. Everything falls in here. But for smaller values, it failed. It failed because it was using the model elasticity. It's no longer elastic. Portion of the cross section has become inelastic. Portion of the cross section already yielded. Thank you, Celeste. Any other question? Can you explain again how you open on the table on every, how you select on the table for every other section? Raising on the weak axis, we have to check. Well, I'm going to answer the first question that is most difficult one, but just in case, always, whenever we have braces, we have to check both K over Rx and K over Y. And the reason it was in front of you, the strong axis was controlled. So I'm going to go to the table in chapter 4. And I don't know if somebody was asking about this of a different question. But to use this table, today we had a case when KLY was equal to 8 feet. And this table is here only for weak axis. So no matter what, at that time, we don't know if it's strong or the weak axis control. So we always go with KLY. And in this case, we had KLY equal to 8. And we were looking for PU 840. So look, a W10 by 54 for KLY equal to 8. It gives me, what is this value? You are asking the question? For anybody? Okay. And I'm looking for 140. So I need to keep looking. I go to heavier one. And in here for 8, I look for 840 or more. This one, anybody tell me the number? I cannot read. 810. So this is 800 or 900 and okay, no, 925. So it's larger than what I need. This is the first section, W10 by 77. Okay. So this is the way we got the value. Any other question? Any other question? Okay. Since there are no more questions, I'm going to stop here. I'm sorry, it went almost over an hour. I have office hours Mondays and Wednesdays from 1 to 3. If nobody is there, I close the office. But also, Jorge is helping everybody. And whatever you need, just get in touch with me. Well, have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Monday. Stay at home. You're very welcome. Stay at home. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.